As a dermatologist and true skincare connoisseur, I am constantly testing out new facial sunscreens to find the ones that really stand out above the rest. And if you've been on this channel even 1 minute, you know that sunscreen is my #1 non-negotiable when it comes to protecting your skin and preventing premature skin aging. So today, I'm going to share some of the more recent sunscreen launches that have really impressed me, which is hard to do. I am a tough critic, but these are the ones you're gonna wanna try. I'm Dr. Sam Ellis, and I am a board-certified dermatologist in Northern California, and I created this channel to help people understand their skin and hair and nails and find products that would actually work for them. So if that's the type of content you like, make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you never miss a video, and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. So there are a few main things that I am looking for in an ideal facial sunscreen. Number one, the application process. When I go to put my sunscreen on, I wanna look forward to putting it on. It should feel like skincare. I shouldn't be like, ooh, this is thick or goopy or streaky or smells bad or it's gonna mess up the rest of the skincare that I just put on. I want it to feel essentially like I am applying moisturizer. And if it doesn't feel like that, it's kind of going lower on my list. Which brings me to the second thing that I really care about when it comes to my sunscreen, which is the finish. How does it look on my skin? It should not have a white cast. I shouldn't look super greasy. For me, I don't like to look super matte either, although I do have some tips and tricks for sort of altering the finish of your sunscreen, which I will get to later in the video. So I want my skin just to look good and healthy when my sunscreen is on. And lastly, it needs to play nicely, not only with the skincare that I put on under my sunscreen, but also with the makeup that I put on over my sunscreen. If it pills up on my skin, if it makes my makeup look streaky or patchy, or it breaks up my makeup over the course of the day, it's a no for me. So all the sunscreens I'm talking about today are going to feel good, look good, and wear well on your skin. Also, just personal preference, I do not like fragrance in my sunscreens, so all the sunscreens today are fragrance-free. There can be many reasons to avoid fragrance. Your skin could be sensitive to it, your nose could be sensitive to it. For me, a lot of fragrances give me headaches, so I just rather avoid them when I can. I also just quickly want to mention a couple of things that I don't personally care about when it comes to sunscreen for me, and I'm speaking both as a dermatologist, but just personal preference as well. Number one, I don't care if my sunscreen is a mineral sunscreen or a chemical sunscreen. And when a sunscreen is being categorized as mineral versus chemical, which are not true scientific delineations, but it's how a lot of people speak about sunscreen, so that's how I want to speak to it today. Mineral sunscreens use zinc oxide and or titanium dioxide as the UV filters within the formula, whereas chemical sunscreens use organic UV filters, and it's basically every other filter that you would see on a sunscreen label. Mineral and chemical UV filters are both incredibly effective. They actually work very similarly, and they're both very safe, despite what you might read in the media. So for me, it does not personally matter if my sunscreen is mineral, chemical, or some combination of UV filters. I care more about the sunscreen's performance overall. Now, there are definitely people out there whose skin is sensitive to some of the organic UV filters, which is why they might lean towards a mineral sunscreen or prefer one. But there are also people out there who prefer organic UV filters, particularly because zinc oxide and titanium dioxide in mineral sunscreens can leave a whitish cast on the skin. So if you have a deeper skin tone, sunscreen application is not going to be nearly as flawless or undetectable if you're using a mineral sunscreen. One other thing I don't really care about is the SPF, or the sun protection factor, as long as it's greater than 30. Once you hit an SPF of 30, you are blocking 97% of the UV rays that are coming to the skin. When you jump up to an SPF 50, you are now blocking 98%. So there's only a 1% difference there. Now, where this matters to me is if I am outside, if I'm being exposed to a lot of sun, if I'm hiking, if I'm at the beach, if I'm swimming, that extra 1% of UV radiation is a big difference. But if I'm inside, I'm getting a little bit of light from the windows, I'm briefly walking to my car, that 1% is a lot less significant. So for my day-to-day sunscreen application, where I am mostly inside, SPF 30 or higher is absolutely fine. And I counsel my patients the same way, because a lot of SPF 30 sunscreens are going to be a little bit more cosmetically elegant. As you start bolstering up the UV filters to get to an SPF 40, 50, or even above, it can really mess with the texture and the finish of the sunscreen. And I would much rather someone put on the correct amount of SPF 30 consistently, then maybe use their SPF 50 more sparingly or even not at all because they don't like texturally how it performs for just that very small marginal improvement in sun protection. Which brings me to 2 final points before we get into the sunscreens, because I know that's what you're really here for. But 1, sunscreens only work if you apply the correct amount. It is estimated that you need about a 1/4 teaspoon for your face, and a huge mistake that people make with their sunscreen application is just drastically under applying it. Now, you don't have to have your 1/4 teaspoon out every single time you're applying your sunscreen, but a good estimate is like 2 juicy finger lengths of sunscreen. That's usually about a 1/4 teaspoon, and it is going to be proportional to your face. And for a lot of people, applying both of those finger lengths at the same time is going to get too sloppy. So I usually like to put 1 finger length, apply it, let it dry for a second, then put my 2nd finger length. And then you need to let your sunscreen set up and dry down. That's why most sunscreen labels will say apply 15 minutes before you go outside or 15 minutes before you go in the pool, because your sunscreen on a microscopic level needs to create a nice, even protective film and layer, and that takes about 15 minutes. It's the same reason why I advise people to wait 15 minutes before they go in with their makeup on top of their sunscreen. You want to ensure that that sunscreen has really settled into that nice protective film before you go buffing your foundation around. I'm sorry, I just had to get all of those things off my chest, but now that I know you are going to use your sunscreen properly, let's get into the products. First up is the Ciel Prime and Protect SPF 30, and this is truly an SPF 30 makeup primer, and it is fabulous. This is a mineral sunscreen. It has a super faint neutral toned tint to it that I think is really there more to like balance out a white cast. But the way this applies, it just feels like a nourishing moisturizer without feeling heavy. And then as it sets up on the skin, it fully dries down, which I appreciate. I hate when my sunscreen stays wet throughout the day. And it has a little bit of grip to it, which is why it makes such a fabulous makeup primer as well, because then when I go in and apply makeup on top of it, I just get a super flawless finish. Even if you don't wear makeup, I think this is such a great sunscreen. Of all the sunscreens I'm talking about today, it has the most natural skin-like finish. So I think this would work for normal skin, dry skin, oily skin. It's also acne safe. So just a very versatile, impressive sunscreen. Good job, Ciel. Another sunscreen that's been a total hit for me, and I know a lot of you love it too, is the In Beauty Mineral Sun Glow Broad Spectrum SPF 43 PA+++ sunscreen. This is another tinted mineral sunscreen, but the tint is quite faint. So again, it's not overpowering, but a bit more saturated than the Ciel. And this comes in 3 shades. There's fair to light, which is what I use, medium, and then tan to deep. And it's actually kind of funny that I have a few tinted mineral sunscreens in today's video, because usually I hate tinted sunscreen because it's so saturated, so pigmented that you would only want to apply like a little drop in order to get your desired coverage. So I really appreciate these unsaturated tints where it's just enough to kind of balance off the white cast that might be coming from the zinc oxide UV filter in here, but it doesn't prevent you from using the appropriate amount of sunscreen to get adequate protection. Texturally, this feels kind of like a lightweight, whipped, but still creamy lotion. It applies really easily. It dries down quite quickly. So it's also got a nice finish if you tend to be more oily or combo skin. If you're very dry or you have mature skin, I do think this will require a little bit of skin prep ahead of time, like putting on a hydration serum or a nice layer of moisturizer before you go in. And then the finish on this is slightly luminous, so it has a little bit of radiance to it. It's certainly not matte, but it's definitely not dewy either. And aside from me liking this sunscreen, this is probably one of my top recommended sunscreens for my teenage patients who I'm seeing for acne or anything else, because always part of the conversation is their parents going like, oh, help, my teen just wants to use Sephora products on their skin. And I'm like, I have a Sephora product for you. It is acne safe. It's got a little bit of tint to it, so it's giving makeup vibes. It's got cool packaging. It works well on the skin. It gets them excited about sun protection. Like one of my top recs for like teens and tweens, but like, of course, adults can love this too. Now shifting gears a little bit, I have an untinted chemical or organic UV filter sunscreen. This is from my brand Prequel. It is the Solar Shade Sunscreen Broad Spectrum SPF 46 PA+++++. I am so proud of this sunscreen. It took us a really long time to develop. I was taking a lot of inspiration from Korean and European sunscreen textures that I love so much. But of course, because we manufacture in the United States, we had to use UV filters that are FDA approved by the United States. And it can be really hard to manipulate those filters into such an elegant formula, but I really feel like we nailed it with this one. When you apply Solar Shade, you see it's such a nourishing, silky fluid that truly just moisturizes the skin. It also blends in effortlessly and with zero white cast because of those organic UV filters. No matter what skin tone you have, this is not going to leave any type of cast on your skin. It's just going to leave your skin really supple and hydrated. Especially if you have dry skin or mature skin and you struggle to find a sunscreen that leaves your skin feeling good and also like looking good, I definitely recommend that you try this. I've also had several makeup artists reach out to me or even post independently that they love this under makeup, especially for dry skin. So definitely in my favorites. This was a recent launch from us and I'm thrilled about it. Okay, and I know this video is about facial sunscreens, but I just have to give a little shout out to the new Prequel lip sunscreens. These launched really recently and they are SPF 30. They have no sunscreen taste, just a little minty flavor, and that was so important to me. I have struggled for years to find lip sunscreens that don't taste disgusting to my very sensitive palate, and these are it. We have two colors right now. We have Clear, which you can layer over any of like your normal lipsticks. You can wear it on your own, and then we have Rose Dust, which is a really pretty pinky nude color. It's what I actually have on my lips right now, so just little shout out because these are exceptional in my opinion. The next sunscreen fave I have for you is by Beauty of Chosan. It's their Relief Sun Aqua Fresh Rice and B5 SPF 50 PA+++++. This is a Korean sunscreen with organic or chemical UV filters. You can see I'm like almost done with the tube. I've already ordered several backups. I love the original Beauty of Chosan sunscreen, which I've spoken about so many times on this channel. It's a little bit thicker, richer, more moisturizing, but I'm so happy that they came out with this Aqua Fresh version because for people who have oilier skin or even combination skin, or for those who live in humid weather, that original Beauty of Chosan might have been just slightly too heavy, although it's pretty perfect in my opinion. So if you wanted something that's a little bit lighter, that feels sort of like a gel lotion hybrid, highly recommend that you check this out. And like all of the sunscreens that I'm talking about in today's video, I will put links in the description box. These types of Korean sunscreens are constantly counterfeited and like sold on bad websites, so I will always make sure that I vet the links that I post for you guys to use. I think it's also worth mentioning that the UV filters in here for this organic or chemical sunscreen that is made in Korea are different than the typical chemical sunscreen filters you would find in a US manufactured sunscreen. So overseas in Asia, parts of Europe, they have different sunscreen filters that they have access to. And so they're able to create sunscreens that are very different texturally, different wear time, don't have that traditional chemical sunscreen smell. And so if you've been chemical sunscreen curious and you're based in the US, but you haven't loved US-based chemical sunscreens, definitely worth trying something like this. I think you would really love it. Now, I just have a couple of sunscreens left. If you are still watching the video and you have found this helpful and you've enjoyed it, definitely give it a thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Also, if you have any sunscreens that you love, make sure that you put them in the comments. I love seeing this community help each other out. We have grown so much in the past several years, and you guys have great ideas, you have great input, and I really value that. On to my next sunscreen favorite. Every once in a while, a product will come along where as a brand founder, I will go, dang, like I wish I had made that product first. This was something I had an idea about, but man, Ulta MD, you beat me to it and you rocked this formula. This is their UV Skin Recovery SPF 50 Red Color Correcting Face Sunscreen. So often when formulating skincare with red skin in mind, we think about using green tones to kind of cancel that out, but I have found that a lot of green products are like too much and they make the complexion look dull or gray or muddy, but they have like just the right amount of green in here, and this is a mineral sunscreen. I think they probably meant for it to be like post-procedure, for example, after microneedling, after laser, where your face is particularly red. But for my rosacea people out there who are just like red on a daily basis, this is so fantastic. I was actually using this a ton a couple weeks ago because I had multiple lasers done to my face and I was looking redder than usual, even though I have rosacea at baseline. And this was great because not only did the green help cancel some of those tones, but not to like a crazy extent, but also it was very soothing on the skin. A lot of times sunscreen post-procedurally is essential. It's so important, but it's not well tolerated because the skin barrier is not intact. So not only was this effective at protecting my skin, but it was also really soothing. And of course, like they named it appropriately, UV skin recovery. I think it's supposed to help with recovery. So this will be something that I'll have a lot of my laser patients purchase, I think, in the future, because I think it's a really nice product. But also, if you are acne prone, if you have rosacea, if you just tend to be red, or you have really sensitive skin, you gotta try this one. Okay, we are down to the final sunscreen. I have one honorable mention after this, so I guess this is the penultimate, but the Ultraviolet Future Screen SPF 50. I got this just a couple of weeks ago, but I very quickly came to love it. This is an Australian-based sunscreen company, but just recently launched this in the United States. You can find it in Sephora's. They call this a modern mineral sunscreen. It's SPF 50. It is just an absolute delight to apply it, but I don't think it's going to be everyone's cup of tea, so I'll explain. This is very slightly tinted. If you have super pale skin, the tint is going to be too dark, but if you are paler than me or my tone, it's going to be just fine. It's incredibly liquidy, so you have to be careful when you kind of take it out of the bottle because you could make a mess real quick. And then as you're applying it, it feels almost like a face oil. Like it's got like some slip to it. I don't know if that's because of the squalane in here. It feels nice, it feels nourishing. And then when you get it totally distributed, it is quite dewy, quite shiny on the skin. Now, as someone who has dry skin, I don't really mind that. It makes my skin look healthy and glowy. And I will take a little bit of powder, like translucent setting powder, and just kind of like blot it down. I think if you were going to try to wear this with zero powder, zero makeup, it's not gonna be everyone's look. You're gonna look a little sweaty. But if you feel comfortable with makeup and sort of manipulating your sunscreen by blotting down some of the sheen with powder, I think this is absolutely beautiful. This also did really well under my makeup. My makeup didn't pill or break up on it, which I was worried about because of that more oily finish. So I was really happy with this. I think if you have dry or mature skin, you'll do great with this. I think if you have oily skin, this one will be a pass. But for me, big fan. Okay, we're truly on our last sunscreen here. This is my honorable mention because even though it is not my exact favorite type of sunscreen, I have recommended it to so many patients. I have so many followers who love it, and I can absolutely see why this sunscreen resonates with so many people, and that is the Allies of Skin, the One SPF 50 Invisible Sunscreen Gel, PA++++. So this is a chemical sunscreen. It has 80 minutes of water resistance. I don't think any of the other sunscreens I talked about today are water resistant. And it is completely clear. It's like a clear gel primer type of texture. It is beautiful under makeup if you wear makeup. It is undetectable if you don't wear makeup. The reason it didn't make like my personal top sunscreen faves for newer launches is because that silicone gel primer-like texture is not a personal fave of mine. It feels a little bit suffocating on me. But I also find that I'm in the minority here. Like most of my friends who try this are like, oh, this is amazing. Men tend to really like this as well. There's just something very unique about it where it doesn't feel like a traditional lotion or cream, where if you have someone who's maybe like not that into skincare, I think they would really love it. But also if you have someone who's like really into makeup and they like that makeup primer feel, this would also be a total win. It's also got the 80 minutes of water resistance. It's clear. It just checks so many of the boxes of what I would recommend for a sunscreen that I couldn't not include it. All right, I could blabber about sunscreen for hours, but I'm gonna cut this off here. I hope you found it helpful. Maybe there's a sunscreen in here or two that you would wanna try. If you have tried them, let us know your experience in the comments. Let us know what your skin type is and what you tend to look for as well. We like context. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and make sure you're subscribed to the channel. As always, thank you so much for being here. You mean so much to me, and I will catch you next time.